The ocean stretched endlessly beneath us, a blue mirror broken only by wisps of cloud shadow. I couldn't see the Japanese carriers yet, only that vast expanse of water that seemed to go on forever. My hands gripped the twin, 30 caliber machine guns in the rear cockpit of our TBD Devastator, sweat making my palms slick despite the cool air rushing past at 8,000 feet. Then on the horizon, tiny specks began to grow into something more. Ships. Enemy ships. Black puffs of flak suddenly bloomed around us like deadly flowers, the concussions rocking our torpedo bomber as Lieutenant Commander pressed forward on his attack run. Through my headset, I heard him curse as shrapnel peppered our port wing. Below us, the ocean had transformed into a battlefield, and I was about to fire at enemy fighters in a battle that would change the course of the Pacific War forever. May 8, 1942, in the waters northeast of Australia, in a place called the Coral Sea. What matters is that I was there, perched in the gunner's seat of a Douglas TBD Devastator torpedo bomber, about to take part in the first naval battle in history where the opposing fleets never came within sight of each other. This was a new kind of warfare, fought entirely by aircraft launched from carriers hundreds of miles apart. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start at the beginning, on the flight deck of USS Lexington, just after dawn on that fateful morning. The Lady Lex, as we called her, was cutting through moderate swells at 25 knots, her massive bulk steady beneath my feet as I climbed into the rear cockpit of our Devastator. The morning air was warm and humid, carrying the smell of aviation fuel and salt spray. Around me, the organized chaos of a carrier preparing for battle unfolded with practiced precision. "You ready back there, gunner?" Lieutenant Commander Joe Taylor called over his shoulder from the pilot's seat. Taylor was a veteran from the old Navy, a man who'd learned to fly when biplanes were still the standard. He had steady hands and nerves of steel, exactly what you wanted in a pilot when you were about to fly a slow, lumbering torpedo bomber into the teeth of enemy fighters. "Ready as I'll ever be, sir," I replied, checking my guns for the 100th time. The twin, 30 caliber Browning machine guns were my only defense against the Japanese fighters we knew would be waiting for us. 500 rounds per gun, not much when you're facing down enemy aces. Our torpedo, a Mark 13 weighing over 2,000 pounds, hung beneath our belly like a deadly steel fish. It would be our calling card to the Japanese carriers that intelligence said were lurking somewhere out there in the vast Pacific. The Lexington's loudspeaker crackled to life. "Pilots, man your planes. This is not a drill." Repeat, "Pilots, man your planes." My heart hammered against my ribs. After months of training and patrol missions, this was it, our first real battle against the Japanese Empire. Around me, 36 aircraft were preparing for launch, 12 Devastators like ours, armed with torpedoes to sink enemy ships, 28 Wildcats to provide fighter cover, and dive bombers from our sister carrier, USS Yorktown, which was operating nearby. The Japanese had been pushing south through the Solomon Islands and New Guinea for months, threatening Australia itself. Their plan, we'd learned from intelligence, was to capture Port Moresby on the southern coast of New Guinea and establish a seaplane base at Tulagi in the Solomons. From there, they could cut the supply lines between America and Australia, potentially forcing the Aussies out of the war. But Admiral Chester Nimitz had other ideas. Task Force 17, built around Lexington and Yorktown, had been sent to stop them. Lieutenant Commander Taylor fired up our Wright R-1830 twin Wasp engine, and the familiar rumble filled the cockpit. One by one, the planes ahead of us roared down the flight deck and lifted off into the pale morning sky. When our turn came, Taylor pushed the throttles forward, and we accelerated down the wooden planking. The Devastator was heavy with fuel and that massive torpedo, but she lifted off cleanly, banking to join the growing formation circling above the carrier. As we climbed to our cruising altitude of 10,000 feet, I had a moment to take in the sight below. The Lexington looked like a toy boat from this height, her wake a white line across the dark blue water. Somewhere out there, maybe 200 miles to the northwest, Japanese carriers were launching their own strike against us. It was a deadly game of hide and seek, played with million-dollar warships and the lives of young men. Our strike group formed up in a loose V formation, the Wildcats weaving back and forth above us like protective shepherds. The sun climbed higher as we droned northward, the monotonous sound of our engines mixing with the whistle of wind through the radio antennas. For 2 hours we flew, navigating by dead reckoning and the occasional glimpse of islands below. The Pacific was so vast that finding the enemy fleet was like looking for a needle in a haystack that covered millions of square miles of ocean. Then Lieutenant Commander Robert Dixon's voice crackled over the radio from one of the scouting planes. "Scratch 1 flat top." Dixon to carrier. "Scratch 1 flat top." My pulse quickened. The dive bombers had found something and were attacking. That meant enemy carriers were nearby, and that meant we were close to our target. 20 minutes later, I saw them myself. At first, they were just specks on the horizon, barely visible through the heat haze. But as we drew closer, the specks resolved into the unmistakable shapes of warships, and at their center, the long, flat rectangle of an aircraft carrier. "There she is, boys," Taylor's voice came through the intercom, steady despite what we were flying into. "That's our target." The Japanese fleet spread out below us like a miniature navy, destroyers and cruisers arranged in protective rings around the carrier. Even from 4 miles up, I could see the white wakes of ships maneuvering at high speed, trying to present difficult targets for our attack. "Japs at 2 o'clock high," someone shouted over the radio. I swiveled my guns and spotted them, a dozen Mitsubishi A6M0 fighters climbing fast to intercept us. The Zeros were legendary already, the most maneuverable fighters in the world. Against our slow, lumbering Devastators, they would be like wolves among sheep. The Wildcats peeled off to engage them, and suddenly the sky erupted in tracer fire and the stutter of machine guns. A Zero flashed past us so close I could see the pilot's white scarf streaming in the slipstream. One of our Wildcats was trailing smoke, losing altitude rapidly. But we had a job to do. Taylor pushed the nose down, beginning our approach run. The carrier below us, we later learned it was the Shoho, a light carrier that had been converted from a submarine tender, was turning hard to port, trying to comb the wakes of our torpedoes. Black puffs of anti-aircraft fire began bursting around us, the concussions making our Devastator shudder and buck. The flak was getting thicker as we descended. I could hear shrapnel rattling against our aluminum skin like hail on a tin roof. A burst exploded just off our starboard wing, close enough that I felt the heat wash over my face. "Steady, steady," Taylor muttered, more to himself than to me. He was lining up for the perfect shot, waiting until we were close enough and low enough for our torpedo to have the best chance of hitting its target. At 2,000 feet, a Zero dove on us from above. I swung my guns around and opened fire, the twin. 30 calibers chattering in my ears. My tracers reached out like deadly fingers, and I had the satisfaction of seeing my bullets stitch across the Zero's engine cowling. Smoke began streaming from the Japanese fighter as it rolled away, but another one was already coming in from the port side. We were down to 1,000 feet now, skimming just above the wave tops. The carrier filled our windscreen, looking impossibly large. I could see Japanese sailors running across her flight deck, could make out the anti-aircraft guns swiveling to track us. The muzzle flashes looked like twinkling Christmas lights, but their gift was death. "Torpedo away," Taylor shouted. I felt our Devastator lurch upward as the 2,000-pound torpedo dropped from our belly. Looking back, I watched it splash into the green water, its wake a straight white line racing toward the carrier's hull. Taylor banked hard to the right, trying to get us away from the concentrated anti-aircraft fire, but the flak followed us, black bursts reaching out like grasping fingers. A Zero came in from dead ahead, its 20mm cannon winking orange flame. Cannon shells walked up the water toward us, then struck our port wing. I felt the Devastator shudder as metal tore and oil sprayed back over my cockpit. I returned fire, my tracers converging on the Zero's cockpit. At the last second, the Japanese fighter pulled up, passing so close over our heads that I could see the rising sun painted on its wings. But my bullets had found their mark. The Zero was trailing black smoke and losing altitude. "Did we get her?" I shouted forward to Taylor, trying to see over his shoulder as we raced away from the Japanese fleet. For a moment, nothing. Then a brilliant orange flash bloomed on the horizon behind us, followed by a towering column of black smoke. "Got her," Taylor whooped. "Direct hit on the carrier." The Shoho was burning, her flight deck a mass of flames. Secondary explosions rippled through her hull as aviation fuel and ammunition cooked off. Other torpedoes from our squadron had found their mark too, and the light carrier was listing heavily to port, taking on water fast. But our celebration was short-lived. More Zeros were diving on the scattered remnants of our formation, and the sky was full of tracers and burning aircraft. I watched in horror as one of our Devastators exploded in midair, hit by a Zero's cannon. The two-man crew never had a chance to escape. We were alone now, separated from the rest of our squadron in the swirling dogfight. Our port engine was running rough from the cannon damage, and hydraulic fluid was streaming from holes in our wing. But we were still flying, still fighting. A Zero came in from our starboard quarter, and I swung my guns to meet it. The Japanese pilot was good. He jinked and weaved, making himself a difficult target. But he made one mistake. He came in too close, probably trying to conserve ammunition. At 200 yards, I opened fire. My twin. 30 calibers poured out a stream of bullets, and this time I didn't miss. The Zero's engine exploded in a gout of flame and oil. The fighter rolled over and dove into the sea, taking its pilot with it. "Nice shooting," Taylor called back. "Let's get out of here." He pushed our damaged Devastator to its maximum speed, heading southeast toward where we hoped the Lexington would be. Behind us, the Shoho was settling deeper into the water, her bow rising as her stern disappeared beneath the waves. Destroyers were racing in to pick up survivors, but it was clear the carrier was doomed. The flight back to the Lexington took 2 hours. 2 hours of nursing a damaged aircraft over hundreds of miles of empty ocean. Our port engine finally quit completely about halfway home, forcing Taylor to feather the prop and fly on one engine. We lost altitude steadily, and I began to wonder if we would make it back before we ran out of sky. But Taylor was as good a pilot as I'd ever flown with. He coaxed every foot of altitude out of our crippled Devastator, adjusting trim and power settings with the skill of a master craftsman. When the Lexington finally appeared on the horizon, we were down to 500 feet and still descending. The carrier's flight deck looked impossibly small as we approached for landing. Our damaged hydraulics meant the landing gear came down with a grinding crash, and Taylor had to use emergency air pressure to lower the flaps. We came in hot and heavy, but Taylor greased the landing, catching the third arresting wire and bringing us to a jarring stop. As the plane handlers pushed our battered Devastator out of the landing area, I climbed out of my cockpit on shaking legs. Only then did I realize how close we'd come to not making it home. Our aircraft was riddled with bullet holes and shrapnel damage. The port wing looked like Swiss cheese, and hydraulic fluid was still dripping from the punctured lines. "How many did we get?" I asked Chief Petty Officer Martinez, who was already examining our damage. "Shoho's gone," he said grimly, "sunk with most of her aircraft and crew. But we lost 7 Devastators and their crews." His face was hard as granite. "Good men, every one of them. 7 out of 12. More than half our torpedo bomber squadron, gone in a single mission." The price of victory was always paid in blood, and today the blood had been American. But we had achieved something unprecedented. For the first time in history, a naval battle had been fought and won entirely by aircraft. The opposing fleets had never come within 200 miles of each other, yet we had sunk a Japanese aircraft carrier and damaged others. This was the future of naval warfare, and we had proven that American pilots and planes could match the best the Japanese had to offer. The next day, May 8, 1942, the battle reached its climax. At dawn, both sides launched massive airstrikes against each other's carriers. The Japanese found the Lexington and Yorktown first, hitting both carriers with bombs and torpedoes. The Lexington, our beautiful Lady Lex, was so badly damaged that she had to be abandoned and sunk up by our own destroyers to prevent her from falling into enemy hands. But our strike found the Japanese fleet too. The big fleet carrier Shokaku was hit by multiple bombs from our dive bombers, her flight deck wrecked, and her hangar deck burning. She would be out of action for months. The Zuikaku escaped damage, but lost so many aircraft and experienced pilots that she too would be unavailable for future operations. Most importantly, we had stopped the Japanese advance toward Australia. The invasion fleet bound for Port Moresby turned back, never to try again. For the first time since Pearl Harbor, the Japanese expansion had been halted by American forces. I flew 3 more missions during my tour in the Pacific, each one etched in my memory with crystal clarity. I saw the great victory at Midway, where we sank 4 Japanese fleet carriers in a single day. I watched American industry gear up to produce ships and planes in numbers that would have seemed impossible just 2 years before. I saw young men, barely out of high school, climb into the cockpits of fighters and bombers and fly off to battle against an enemy that had once seemed invincible. But it was that first mission over the Coral Sea that taught me the most important lesson of the war. That courage isn't the absence of fear, but the willingness to do your duty despite it. Every man in our squadron was afraid that morning as we flew toward the Japanese fleet. We knew the odds, knew that many of us wouldn't be coming home. But we went anyway, because our country and our way of life depended on it. The Pacific War would rage for 3 more years after the Coral Sea. American forces would island hop their way across thousands of miles of ocean, each battle bringing us closer to the Japanese home islands. The names would become legend: Guadalcanal, Tarawa, Saipan, Iwo Jima, Okinawa. Young Americans would die on beaches and in jungles, in the air and under the sea, all in service of victory over an empire that had brought war to Pearl Harbor. But it was in the Coral Sea that we first proved we could beat them. It was there, in the clear tropical waters northeast of Australia, that the tide of war began to turn. The Japanese Empire had reached its high water mark and was starting to ebb. I think about that often now, decades later. I think about Lieutenant Commander Taylor, who did make it home from Midway 6 months later. I think about the young sailors aboard the Lexington who went down with their ship, singing the Navy hymn as the cold Pacific closed over them. I think about the Japanese pilots who never saw their homeland again, warriors serving their emperor with the same courage we served our flag. War is a terrible thing, perhaps the most terrible thing human beings can do to each other. But sometimes it is necessary when evil threatens to overwhelm good, when tyranny seeks to crush freedom. The young men who fought in the Pacific didn't start that war, but they finished it. They paid the price so that future generations could live in peace. The Battle of the Coral Sea lasted 4 days in May 1942. In terms of ships sunk, it was almost a draw. We lost the Lexington, they lost the Shoho. But strategically, it was a clear American victory. The Japanese advance was stopped, their invasion of Australia thwarted, and 2 of their most experienced carrier air groups were so badly mauled that they couldn't participate in the Battle of Midway. More than that, it proved that American sailors, soldiers, Marines, and airmen could fight the Japanese on equal terms and win. After 6 months of defeat and retreat, from Pearl Harbor to the Philippines to the Dutch East Indies, we had finally stood our ground and given as good as we got. I was just one gunner in the back seat of one torpedo bomber, but I was part of something larger than myself. I was part of the greatest generation in American history. Men and women who faced down fascism and militarism when the world hung in the balance. We didn't think of ourselves as heroes. We were just doing our jobs, serving our country in its hour of greatest need. But history has judged us kindly, and I suppose we did something heroic after all. We saved democracy when it was under assault from both East and West. We proved that free men fighting for a just cause could defeat the most disciplined armies and the most fanatical warriors the world had ever seen. The Coral Sea is peaceful now, its waters blue and clear, unmarked by the battles that once raged above and below its surface. Tourist ships pass through, their passengers snapping photos of tropical islands and coral reefs. Few of them know that they're sailing through one of history's most important battlefields. But I remember the sound of our engines as we flew toward the enemy fleet that morning in May 1942. I remember the whistle of bombs and the stutter of machine guns, the smell of cordite and aviation fuel, the sight of ships burning on the horizon. I remember young men who never grew old, who gave their lives in service of something greater than themselves. Most of all, I remember that we were there when history called, and we answered. We did our duty, paid the price, and won the victory that kept the free world free. That's not a bad epitaph for any generation. The torpedo I watched splash into the coral sea that morning was more than just a weapon. It was a message to the Empire of Japan that America was back in the fight to stay. Every bubble in its wake, every foot of its deadly path toward the enemy carrier was a promise that we would never surrender, never give up, never stop fighting until victory was ours. And in the end, that promise was kept.